I have been to events at your cabin, which is on the side of a mountain.
Yep.
And you love to spend time outdoors.
That's correct.
What is it about spending time outdoors? What do you get from that? What do you take from that?
I've always, been in love with nature. I'm a, nature freak. I love the freedom of being outside and just seeing what you can see out there. I have no bones. A lot of wrestlers I know talk about, their religion and everything, and it's no secret. I have a pentagram tattooed on my chest. It's no secret. I'm Wiccan, So it's that being in touch with nature, part of me that fulfills me spiritually. It's my cabin. I built my cabin myself, with the help of my family and everything, and some friends. But I constructed it myself, and it is very secluded. But it keeps me in touch with nature. Like right now, I'm sitting on the couch talking to you, looking at the full moon through the big windows out. The windows I have in my house, the big giant windows. And I'm sitting there looking at the full moon, just thinking all is good. And that was a very appropriate question to ask. But that's what that keeps me going. That's my love of nature, my love of humanity, and just the wilderness. And I should have added humanity in there, but the wilderness and everything that is wild. I think as human beings we've lost touch with that. We're connected to our appropriate digital device, and we really become attached to that. And so being able to spend time outside and camp for, I actually was fortunate enough to have a job where I lived in the woods for 2.5 years, 8 days at a time, and then off 6, and got paid for it. So I couldn't ask for anything better. But yeah, that's, if you want to know the truth about it, that's the truth. And I have no problem saying that.
You are also infamous for having parties in your cabin.
Oh, Lord, yes.
So the question that I have is, describe to me the definitive Superlaw party.
The definitive Superlaw party, you know what? I would probably be able to describe it, but I can never remember any of them. People showed me pictures. Dylan Dollar the other day showed me a bunch of pictures from the last party we had at the house, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I do not remember that. So that's how I define a good party at my house, if I can't remember it. That's maybe a little bit extreme, but the reality is it's for me, having a throwdown up here at the house has been about giving back to those people that have stood by my side, have been with me, the people I call friends and people I call brothers and sisters, is, being able to give back, what I'm fortunate enough to have, to have this cabin and to have, what I do have here. And it's being able to give back and provide a good time back to those people that have supported me, that I call friends, that I have wrestled with in the ring, and in an environment that's outside of it, where we're not at a show or anything like that, where we can really be ourselves. So it's all about giving back for me, about providing that.
I want you to tell me about your Zen place.
My Zen place? My Zen place is a stream on the Foothills Trail that goes from Jackson County, North Carolina, from the highest waterfalls this side of the Mississippi to Lake Jocassee, and it's a 30-mile stretch in there. And somewhere in between there's a little stream that I know about where I had a moment of Zen, where I had an awakening, an enlightenment, and I'll always remember that. And so it's very far away from me, and I haven't been able to visit it in a long time. But that is very much so a place of Zen for me.
So when you go hiking in the woods, do you look for that?
Look for those spots?
Yeah, spots that make you very tranquil, very, very sedated, very relaxed.
Oh, absolutely. Native Americans say, if you're going to sit silent in the woods and you want to really take in your surroundings, you should take an hour. You should look 360 degrees all the way around you and spend a minute looking in each direction, and then turn 1 degree, and then spend a minute looking there until, so spending an entire hour in a quiet spot, where you can see, or not necessarily a quiet spot, by a stream or wherever, but where you can see all that nature has to offer. I do look for that, and the reality is that can be anywhere. If I'm in the woods, it can be anywhere. Of course, there's spots that call out to you, and spots that are carry a lot more power to that for different people in different spots, obviously. the reality is you can experience that anywhere. Even if you live in a city, you know, if you can get to a local park or whatever, where there's trees and grass and woods, you can experience that even in an urban environment, you know. But there's nothing like getting back into the actual wilderness.
Before you talked about the party, a violence party of 4.
Yes.
That leads me to the question of the week, and it comes from Randy Wayne.
Okay.
Superlaw, man. It's your old tag team partner, Randy Wayne from the Violence Party. Brother, first off, I hope you're doing well, man. I was asked to give you a question of the week, and I sat there and thought about it for a few minutes. So, man, I've known you for a long time, and knowing our history as a tag team and the things that we accomplished in a very short period of time there in the Carolinas, and knowing your love for the history of the business, which is one of the things that drew me to want to work with you, I'm wondering, man, what tag team, past or present, do you feel like the Violence Party most closely resembled or could be compared to, and how do you think we would have done against them in tag team action had we been given that opportunity?
Wow. Okay, that's a good question. I'm going to go with my favorite tag team. I love Scott Matthews and Christian York worked together, and I thought that comparatively, they were a little bit higher flyers than Randy Wayne and I. But they had that ring presence about them. And I've actually had the opportunity over the past 2 years to work shows with both those guys. And it was like, oh, don't mark out. You know, it was like, and I kept it cool. You know, I didn't ask for an autograph or nothing like that. I kept it cool. But I've always been a mark of theirs. I kind of put them in a tie with Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck. That would be the classic ECW mixed match team that they had. And I love both those tag teams. So I'm going to answer with 2 tag teams. How I think we would do against them, I think we would hold our own. We would provide an extremely entertaining, extremely fast-paced match that had psychology, that had a lot of spots for this is awesome chance to break out and some holy shit chance to break out. So I think that's how that match would go. And as far as the winners of it, I'm not going to decide that. That's not for me to decide. I'm going to tell you how it would work out. The crowd would absolutely love it, and it would be absolutely amazing.
This is the party manimal, Zane Riley. I've been drinking since noon, eating since 12, and you know what? I'm going to the other 12. You're listening to the CIW Report. Hey, somebody hand me that beer.
PWX Wrestling. Live the experience.
It's time for your PWX Word of the Week. Excitement. There's your code word. Now go to pwxpro.com, click on ticket at the top of the page, and enter excitement as your code word. There will be 2 winners a week. Head on over to pwxpro.com for your chance to be a part of Rise of a Champion 10. Carolina Independent Wrestling Report will be right back, right after this.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
In the forest near the side of the road.
No need for alarm, sir. The forest is where bears live.
But this was no ordinary bear.
No ordinary bear?
Yeah, 1 second I'm having a smoke taken in the view. Next thing I know, I am face to face with Smokey Bear.
Let me guess, Smokey had a tip for you.
He did. He must have seen me toss my cigarette on the ground. He told me never to do that because it only takes 1 spark to start a wildfire.
He's a smart bear. Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
That's what Smokey said. I had no idea.
That's why Smokey's famous, and you're not.
Good point.
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference, because 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to the CIW Report. I'm going to give you 3 locker rooms to compare and contrast on.
Okay.
TCW, SWA, and HVW.
Okay. With the locker room environment of Southern Wrestling Association is and will always be family. And it will be honesty, even if that honesty needs to be brutal. It'll be brutal honesty, and it'll be positive feedback, and it's all about bettering yourself. So that locker room has consistently been that and will always be that. And like I said, it's family and it's the truth. and they don't care. I mean, they don't care. If it hurts anybody's feelings, we're going to tell the truth, and we're going to get things out there. And we're going to, work to better that product, to better that show, to better, that what they're supplying. So that's one thing I do have to say about Southern Wrestling Association. With High Velocity Wrestling, it was they were able to have so many different people in there that the variety who you were exposed to every week, it would change monthly as to who you were there. So you got a lot of exposure to different wrestling styles, to different people, to names that they were able to bring in at the time, and successful veterans. I had match of the year there in 2006 with the Barbarian, so that was cool. But it was always, you never knew who was coming to that show, to include people from WWE currently. So that was always something different. You never knew what was going to happen there. Now, as far as contrasting that, it was all business. It was business, and there was a lot of, clicks, I guess, negative and positive. So that was kind of different. And then moving over to the TCW wrestling with Tim Toller's and Kathy Toller's organization, it was all about the gratitude. I had never worked for somebody who was more gracious to be involved in wrestling than Tim Toller. Fed us, and he paid us well. And he did everything that he could do to make sure that we were happy, and to make sure that we were safe, and to make sure that we were fantastic in the ring. He always made sure that we had a whole buffet of food there. That was one thing that was always really cool. It wasn't just like, hey, go to the canteen and get you a hot dog. No, it was like, hey, here's a very nice, catered meal. So he always took care of the guys. Always, first and foremost, that was his thing. Take care of the guys, and the guys will take care of the fans. And it was a magical time working with them, because that spilled over into the crowd. They knew, that it was very, oriented like that. He was respectful to the wrestlers. And I think a lot of the wrestlers that he was able to get in there from, Rock and Roll Express, Tracy Smothers, Barb, just all kinds of different people that come through there even now, or even then, knew that level of respect. And old timers, even though Tim was new to the game, they respected him. And I think he made a lot of good friends there, and I made a lot of good friends there. And it was just a very friendly, open environment where we knew we were taken care of.
Taking a little trip back, it was proclaimed that Law was going to retire. Law was done.
That's correct.
Law was through. And then all of a sudden, here comes Superlaw. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, I started under a hood, and I'd worked this gimmick as Law for so long that it was one of those things, again, where I felt like I was becoming stagnant and like a one-trick pony, working hardcore and being, violent and everything. And I'm more than that. I'm a technical wrestler. I always say I'm technical hardcore. Technical hardcore comedy. Like I said, I started in the mask initially because I was a cop, and I didn't want people to really recognize me. And then came out of the mask because somebody had my same mask at a show one night. And so I'm like, oh, crap, I can't do this. So I didn't wear a mask and do the little face paint thing. And then whenever I thought it was time, it was like I'm getting a little older. Plus, I went prematurely gray, so gray hair. So I'm like, oh, I can't keep up with the young looks and everything. So I'm going to go back in the mask. And I went back into the mask and totally revamped who I am as a wrestler into, being able to. I'm actually able to be more myself with a mask on than I am with a mask off. I'm able to open up and cut up and be more, I guess, technical and funny and engaging with the crowd. That's probably the word I'm looking for, the phrase I'm looking for, engaging with the crowd with the mask. So that was one of the main reasons. I just felt like it was time to repackage myself, and that's exactly what I did.
Last year on Facebook, there was a movement that was started up between the wrestlers here in the CIW, and it was called the Heart Seekers.
That's correct.
Where did that come from?
Ethan Case had this thing where he was the Heat Seeker CCMF. It was a Heat Seeker, and he didn't mean it as like getting like actual bad publicity heat. He meant it as a good heel, seeking out heat as a good heel. I think it got synonymous with negative attention. If you were a heat seeker, then you were the type of person that caused problems in the locker room or talked behind somebody's back or basically just was a troublemaker, And so to me, it seemed like that term picked up on its own, not through Ethan Casement's movie.